Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter, Arizona. I'm your host, Danny Neal, and today, as always, I want to bring on my co-host, and I got to bring this guy out right. This man has shared the last nine region championships or won them outright. He's won 98 of his last 100 region games and hasn't lost a region game since 2017. After last night's win, his all-time record is 360 wins, 125 losses, making him the winningest basketball coach in the history of Flagstaff, Arizona. My friend, my boss, my supervisor, the man to get on my nerves all the time, the coach, Mr. Tyrone Johnson. Good morning, coach.
Oh, morning, coach. How you doing, man?
Nothing, man. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate the intro. That was a little too much. Yeah, you don't need to be doing all that this early in the morning. Because every time we talk about that, then I got to bring my freshman and JV coaches up. What is y'all record? I mean, you talking about I got 100 and something losses. Y'all might not even have 10 losses in 17 years.
Oh yeah, we have. Yes, we had a whole bunch of losses in 17 years. But yeah, we've got a great program. You put a good program down together, coach. But just highlighting it, and it was a great rivalry week for the boys and girls, Flag High, Coconino, and that's I just got to give you that shout out because I don't care what you say, how humble you are, that's quite an accomplishment, man. So congratulations.
Well, appreciate it. I mean, we've had some great players come through, a consistent coaching staff. We have great parent support. So, we just come out and just really just try and get the kids to understand the way we work and go out and play and work hard and have some fun and let the scoreboard take care of itself. And, a few times we've been on the winning end, a few times we've been on the losing end. And, this year has been no different. Our freshmen again went through undefeated. Our JV did the same thing. And so now that we close the regular season, varsity is looking and hoping to go undefeated in the postseason.
Hey man, when you get a good run at it, you're in the open bracket. Don't know when all that's going to start. When the selection show is going to be on and everything. But just wishing Coconino good luck as they move forward, boys and girls. And just proud of our Flag High boys as well as Basis, who I see is doing really well this year, and Northland Prep. So there's a lot of good basketball going on in this town right now. So
Yeah, there is. And, this is the time of the year where it gets fun in terms of the playoffs. And like you say, kids worked hard throughout the year this year
right.
in Flagstaff and Northern Arizona. And so there's some great basketball left to be played.
Right. Yeah, and they had great summers. They had great summers, man. So it was good. It was good. So Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs.
Squares, my numbers, long as my numbers hit.
Man, we're not talking about all that. I just asked you a simple question.
I gave you a simple answer, man.
Now you went all into gambling and all.
Hey, man, that's all I
No,
want is my squares. I want to see a good game in squares. Now, if I had to pick one, you know what I mean, I would go with the Eagles. It would be good to see Jalen Hurts, really solidify himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. And, that's a young talent. And when you talk about greats, you always talk about championships. And so it would be nice to see him get a Super Bowl. Mahomes, he done been there. He done that. Not to say that he don't deserve another one, but if I got to pull for somebody, I'm pulling for somebody who ain't won a championship yet.
why is that?
Because I ain't won a championship yet.
I knew that was coming, man. Look, man, we're gonna move right along with the show because you started early this morning. Hey, man, by the way, when we got started, the producer told me I was looking good this morning. So I'm feeling good, so I'm all right.
You is looking good, man. I tell you, the green fit you well.
It's
I think
cold in this room this morning.
look, I think it's just a residual result of a great season. You're just still feeling good, and feeling like
Look,
feeling like a champion.
yeah, I am, and I think that's got a lot to do with the guests we got coming on today, man. 'Cause they definitely champions. One of them is a friend of mine who I've known forever. Last year we celebrated 20 years of Flagstaff Hoops in existence in this city. And Troy Lorents was the guy that really got it started for us. And then you stepped in and it just took off from there. But I want to bring him out. He's here not talking about basketball. He's talking about a sport that I'm not too familiar with. So this morning, I'm going to get smart. So with that, we're going to bring on my friend, the guy that I always spell his name wrong, Mr. Troy Lorents. Good morning, Troy. Hey, no problem, man. How's things going this morning?
Things are going great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation today. Congratulations on the win last night, Coach. So 98 out of 100. That's pretty awesome. That's amazing. So congratulations, and we're voting for you to get to do success in the postseason.
Well, Troy, I appreciate that, and like Coach Neal said, we go way back like Cadillacs, and so it's just gonna be fun to sit up here and jump into this conversation a little bit. And when we talk about wrestling, I'm gonna tell you my knowledge base of wrestling. I was like a junkyard dog, Hulk Hogan type person. That's what when I talk about wrestling, that's what I kind of think about. So you're gonna have to speak on it a little bit in terms of high school wrestling. I know you officiate. I seen you at Flag High officiating the other day too.
Yeah, no. Yeah, thanks. So I started officiating about 10 years ago, wrestling. And actually, before this podcast started, I really started thinking about how to compare wrestling and basketball. And I guess one thing that kind of comes to mind is you're not allowed to touch each other in basketball. Try taking your defender in basketball, tying them up with you the whole time, wrapping their arms around you, and playing a game like that. Constantly holding onto your arms, constantly stopping a leg, constantly trying to score with having somebody your exact same weight holding on to you the same time. So it's quite a bit different than basketball, but I wanted to share that. And also, correct, I'm a referee for AIA. I do all of the refereeing for high school wrestling across the state. But I also brought somebody along with me, Mike Schmeider. Mike Schmeider, one of the top coaches, in my opinion, in Arizona, coaches at Coconino High School. And when you talked earlier, Danny, about a lot of good basketball going on, there's also a lot of good wrestling going on right now in the state. Sectionals is getting ready to start. This weekend is girls sectionals. The following weekend is boys sectionals for wrestling. 14 kids, weight classes on the mat. But I wanted to bring Mike Schmeider into the call if we could do that as well.
Hey, good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Doing well.
Thank you for coming on
last night. Thank you for coming. Johnson. It was pretty impressive.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. Appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. And look, I'm gonna go to the real knowledge base. Troy, he's a good knowledge base, but we're gonna go to the real knowledge base. And Coach, tell us a little bit about your season, about how it's going, and then what you're looking forward to as you go into sectionals.
Sure. So we've had a pretty good season. We wrapped up our dual meet season on Wednesday. We went out to Sholo and had 4 dual meets out there against Sholo, Mogollon High School, St. John's High School, and Santa Cruz High School. We won all 4 of those. And so it brought our dual meet record for the year to 23-2. So I'm pretty proud of that.
That's awesome.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're ranked right now in the Division III. So wrestling's a little bit different than football and basketball. Mm-hmm. Where basketball and football have the 4A and the 5A. We have Division I, Division II, Division III, and Division IV. And so we're in the Division III, which is one of the smaller school divisions. So there's 50 schools approximately in our state at the Division III level, and we're ranked 6th right now.
Nice.
And,
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, hoping to at least match that or do a little bit better at the state tournament. As Troy alluded to, we've got our girls sectional tournament on Saturday. And girls wrestling is something that's new. So we've only been, the AIA has only been supporting girls wrestling, I think now for the last 4 years. And it's a good change. It's a good change for us. It's starting to build a little bit more visibility around wrestling in general, and getting people a bit away from the perspective that it's like WWE and Hulk Hogan and that kind of thing. It's been good for our visibility and building, the momentum of the sport. So we started with 6 girls at Coconino, and we finished with 4. One of them has a broken collarbone, so she's not gonna participate in sectionals tomorrow. But we do have 3 going tomorrow, and it's competitive and it's tough. And they've structured the sections a little bit different for girls. There's 25 team sections, and you have to finish in the top 3 in order to qualify for the state tournament.
Okay.
So
and Coach, with that,
yeah,
when you talk about the state tournament and everything, I know for wrestling, there's individual accolades. Individuals can make state and stuff like that. Do you get a collective state championship as a team as well? Do they points add up, kind of like in cross country?
Yes, exactly. That is how it works. You get points. So for instance, we'll go to the section tournament in 2 weeks, and there are 14 weight classes, like Troy stated. You got to finish in the top 4 in the section. Our section has 15 teams in it. You place in the top 4, then you go to the state tournament, and there's 4 sections around the state. So the bracket is very similar to a playoff basketball bracket, but there's 16 kids in each weight class. And as you advance through that bracket, it's a double elimination bracket, and you get team points for every win as an individual that you get. And so you can have a team championship, you can have an individual champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh,
Nice.
So, Troy, as an official, when do you know that someone is I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, and Tyrone don't say nothing. But, I mean, when do you say, okay, enough is enough, the pen is in, or they need to submit, or whatever the case is? As an official.
No, it's not a dumb question, right? So ultimately, as an official in wrestling, again, a little different than some of the other sports, I'm actually I'm looking out for the safety of the wrestler first.
Exactly.
So number one, we look out for the safety of the wrestler. Not everybody, the crowd, the parents, sometimes the coaches, they don't always agree that we're doing that, right? But Coach Schmeider's taken me to the table a couple of times to question something, to get my perspective on it. But you're right. So and going back to another analogy that you talked about, Coach Tyrone, early on, a lot of the kids thought it was like WWE or UFC wrestling, and some kids were tapping out. So as soon as some of the newer kids were getting pinned or they thought they couldn't breathe, they would slap the mat. And that's not something we look for as a referee. We're like, we make sure they're safe and that they can breathe, but we don't always, you can't tap out in wrestling, in high school wrestling. So we're looking for number 1 points. So you're constantly scoring points up to 3 2-minute periods. At the end of the 3 2-minute periods, if you have not pinned somebody by putting them on their back, on their shoulders, then whoever has the most points at the end of those 3 periods wins. And so during the sectional tournament and during the state tournament, there's very few pins, right? Because it's so competitive, you might get a score of 4-2 or 6-3 because they're hustling. Nobody wants to be on their back. Nobody wants to finish the season out. It's a double elimination, right? And so there's a lot of emotions out there, emotions from everybody, like I just mentioned, and it's tough. You watch these.
So what if
kids
there's
grow.
a tie after those 3 2-minute periods?
It's a great question, right? So number one, if there's a tie, you go into an ultimate or a sudden death, and that means you get 1 minute. So at the end of the 3 periods, if it's tied, you look at the score, and we're like 3-3. You bring them to the middle, and you go, okay, you got 1 minute. You don't get a chance to rest. You don't get a chance to get a breath. You don't get water. You get out there and you hustle for that 1 minute, and the first one to score in that period wins.
Wow.
And so that's when it gets aggressive, and that's when all of a sudden they tie up really tight around the neck. They're grabbing arms. They're just trying to get that 1 minute. And then there's some more details after that, but that's the one that, especially as an official and as a coach with Schmeider, we're really watching each other going, nope, not yet. Nope, not yet. I mean, a basket's a basket. If it goes in, it goes in. In wrestling, it's like, nope, he doesn't have a leg. He doesn't have a leg. And then you're like, no, no, no. And they're like, there it is, right there. So it makes it pretty exciting, pretty fun. Yeah.
And look, Coach, I can testify that he looks out for the kids' safety, because when I was watching, he did deduct a point from somebody for an unsafe hold. So I was pretty impressed. I was like, I don't know what he did, but it wasn't right.
Yeah. So there's certain rules, right? And so if you do something that puts the kid at danger, especially around the neck, around the head, we stop the match and we go, okay, nope, you can't do that. That's 1 point for the other wrestler. And so again, it comes down to safety. I mean, and you hear, as coaches, Mike Schmeider, Coach Tyrone, you guys are talking to us too, right? We have these rabbit ears.
Yeah.
We can hear you. We can hear you out there. And every now and then I'll hear Coach Schmeider say, watch his elbow, watch that knee. And I'm like, I got it. I mean, and it's hard, right? And it's not always fair, but when you look at like the difference in genders, sometimes we think about flexibility, and some in the girls division, they're a little more flexible. So when you see an arm come back and twist, you're kind of watching to see the color of the skin to see if it's changing, like too much pressure on the shoulder. I mean, I've seen a compound fracture this year because somebody posted in a broken arm. I've seen 4 or 5 dislocated shoulders, 3 or 4 dislocated elbows. I believe in the Mugian tournament last week, and there was a broken leg. So it's pretty aggressive. They put it all out there. Same weight class, like what Coach Schmeider was saying, 106 pounders. You're within a pound of that, 104 pound, 105 pound, same weight class, but people can still get hurt. So it's pretty aggressive.
So, Coach, who do you have going in the regionals? Who's some of your stars out there this year?
Yeah, so we've got a handful of kids that are ranked in the state. I mean, a familiar name to you guys, Cooper French, who was a star football player. You know, his primary sport is actually wrestling. So he's a 2-time state champion for us, and we'll be going for his 4th title this year. And you know, he's committed to go wrestle at the University of Nebraska, which is a huge milestone for Northern Arizona in general. We don't send too many wrestlers to the Big Ten. The Big Ten is the epicenter of college wrestling. So for us to get a young man into that is a big deal. So he's a favored wrestler for us. And we've got a handful of other kids. We have another young man who's a sophomore, Nolan Wilson, who was a state placer last year. He finished 6th as a freshman, which is really unusual. Right now, he is ranked 4th in the state at 132 pounds. So he'll be a favored guy to win the section. Cooper's younger brother, Bridger, who's a junior this year, who was also a star football player for Coconino. Right now, he's ranked 6th in the state at 157 pounds. And so we hope to get him a section title and position him well in the state tournament. Yeah, so those are a few of our stars. Reed Merrill, who was another standout football player at 175 pounds. He's actually ranked number 3 in the state right now. He was a section champion for us last year. He's a senior. He should do pretty well and go pretty deep in the state tournament, and really should be a state finalist. So we've got a handful of kids that are right up there at the top of the list when it comes to the state of Arizona and wrestling. And let me say one thing just back on Troy real quick before we in Northern Arizona. we actually have the best core of referees. It's kind of known throughout the state that the Northern Arizona crew, which Troy is part of and a big piece of, is I mean, they're top notch. They're some of the best referees in the state. You know, we go down to Tucson and we see the referees down there and in the, you know, in the valley. Our Northern
Right.
guys are considered the best in the state. I mean, they're just top notch. They're really good. And they're part of our community, which I really love. You know, we're all in this together, and Troy and I do banter back and forth during matches, but it's at the end of the day, they're in it for the kids just like we are, and you know, promotion of the sport. So I just needed to give that shout out to Troy. He does a great job and is a student of the game, and we're very fortunate to have him here locally.
Coach,
Well,
Coach Neal, quit interrupting me, man.
okay, man.
I got some questions I want to ask. Coach Schmeider, when we talk about, you know, your top wrestlers and everything else, what's the main thing that you teach? Is it just like more, hey, this guy's talented, we're gonna let him go out there and do their thing, or I got to teach everybody, you know, initially your first move, we're gonna shoot. Look, I think that's a term. We're gonna shoot, you know, for the leg, so on and so forth. I mean, how do you prepare the individuals to compete at a high level?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question, and you know, I'd be curious to understand the basketball side of that. But in wrestling, which I'm sure it's similar in basketball. We have soup to nuts every year. You know, we got kids that come in that have never wrestled before, and we have kids that have been wrestling since they were 8 years old. And so that wrestling room is, you know, it's a little bit chaotic because we don't have freshmen, JV, and varsity. We have them all in the wrestling room at the same time. So I'm, you know, me and my staff, we're in there together, and from 2:45 to 5 o'clock, we're coaching everybody. So there's a lot of individual attention, but there's also some things that I'm a bit of a control freak on. So, you know, Coconino style wrestling is a tough on top game. So when we're on top of somebody, we want to be really heavy pressure and wear people out. And that's kind of our style. But I'll tell you, when we have kids that are athletic and, you know, we kind of tailor our style to being more of a position game that takes advantage of their physicality and their athleticism. It's not so much technical. It's a little bit more of you know, letting them use their tools effectively, and it really becomes just putting them in a good position to score. So it changes from year to year, but I like to pride ourselves in being a tough on top team. So that's kind of where we focus a lot of our energy, is being able to turn people, ride people, wear people out, make them quit, make them submit.
Make them submit.
But they just can't tap out. They got
That's right.
They got to just give up.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I have a question. You know, I had a little bit of experience wrestling back in middle school.
Okay.
I tried it one time, and the thing I learned is you have to be intense. Use all your body, all your muscles, all the time. You cannot let up at all. I mean, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
now, say, would it be easier for a man my size to take down a guy like Coach Johnson in wrestling, and would it be easier for him to get a hold of me as a little guy?
Yeah, so you know, it's interesting. I mean, I think a good wrestler can handle himself with somebody who's not a wrestler pretty easily. But as my dad used to say, my dad was a longtime high school coach in Tucson. You know, all else equal, the bigger man wins. And that's typically true in wrestling. You know, if they're the same technically, the bigger man is gonna win. But if they're not the same technically, then you know you're in for a dogfight. And sometimes the littler guys that are a little bit more technical and can move quickly, you know, they can win. That's what makes wrestling so great, though, is that it is a weight class game. You know, when you step out on the mat, you're stepping out against somebody who's the same weight as you, and so you know they try to make it as fair as possible.
Coach, I'm glad that really put it down that the big guy wins if all things are equal. Because trust me, if he tries something, I'm gonna pin him. It might be illegal. I'm gonna slam him. I'm gonna pin him. If he tries something, I promise. But Coach, you know, I know they talked earlier about possible live questions, and we actually have a live question that we want to get to. We have some inquiring minds that want to know. They're asking, where does Cooper French rank among your greatest wrestlers?
Ooh, it's a great question. You know, man, we've had some great young men come through the wrestling room there at Coconino. This is, believe it or not, this is my 35th season at Coconino.
Wow.
And, yeah, I spent 29 years as the assistant coach there, on the staff, and so I've watched a lot of wrestlers come through there. Cooper is certainly at the top in my mind. He's one of the best. You know, he has committed his life to wrestling in terms of, you know, his practice regimen, and he's just wrestled a ton of matches. He does it year round. He's athletic. You know, he comes from a wrestling background. His dad was a Division II All-American. So yeah, he ranks at the top. You know, I think there's some other kids that he brought into the conversation, but it's hard to argue with what he's accomplished so far. You know, he was a National High School Coaches Association All-American year before last, which you know, we haven't had here locally. So yeah, pretty impressive. I would say he's near the top, if not at the top.
Nice.
Well,
That question was courtesy of Mr. Flag Coco, so we appreciate him.
Yeah, I appreciate him too.
that's all right. Well, that's pretty impressive. I didn't know you'd been out 35 years, man. That's big time. Shows dedication to the kids and to the sport and the school. So that's all right. So right now we've come to the point in our show where we want you to, and Troy, please, you know, if you have something to say, that please join in. But Coach Johnson has the golden nugget question of the day. So, Coach, it's time for Coach Johnson's golden nugget question of the day.
Where's the music, man?
I was waiting on the music, man. I just did my little da-da-da-da-da.
There it is. That's all we waiting for. There it is.
I thought we had some background music coming in, you know, some Michael Jackson.
This is very technical. Very technical.
That's it right there. Hey,
Okay,
there we go. So look, before we really jump into it, Troy, I'm gonna come back to you because you said, you know, as official, y'all got rabbit ears and stuff like that. And as I was witnessing your officiating the other day, I seen them rabbit ears come to life when a kid was pinned and the bench was over there, pin, and you looked up at the bench and said, "You want to do this or you want me to do it?" and then they silenced, and then you pin. I was like, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
How do you really, honestly, the question for you, you know what I mean? How do you tune that out and focus on what you need to really focus on?
Yeah, no, so it's you're right. As you get more comfortable with officiating, I think it's easier to do some of that, right? But we hear people in the stands, we hear people in the far back corners of the stands, and you have to tune it out, right? Sometimes it looks like we are listening because we're watching for that knee. We watch the knee. I hear Coach Schmeider mention it, and I'm getting ready to stop it, and it looks like I'm listening to the coaches, right? But we're trained to make sure we're looking for those things. We don't hit everyone, but sometimes you try to make it fun. This year, as you guys all know, as part of the National Federation of Sports, one of the things that we were really focusing on is sportsmanship. And so we're really trying to work with the coaches, the staff, even the kids, right, to make it fun. And so in those situations, I said, I knew the kid was pinned. I see his shoulders on the mat. I hear the whole bench going pin, 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 like you saw. So I look over at him and I go, like you said, you guys want to do this? And then they all stopped. I called the pin. And then afterwards, I went and talked to them about it. So the hard part is, right? I had another kid just before that decided that he was going to get after me for a call. And so that same student that you mentioned a little bit ago, I gave them an illegal hold call, and then I gave them an unsportsmanlike call. And so now you have two against you, right? So if I would have given him another one, he was this close of being kicked out of the duel. What does that mean? That means he can't participate in the next event, which is sectionals. This kid was a senior. He decided to be out on the mat, giving me lip, yelling at me. I gave him a warning, but he almost lost his opportunity to participate at the next level because of his mouth. And it's hard, right? And that's not all kids. There's so many good kids. But I talked to him afterwards. At the next duel, he came up to me and he apologized. A lot of good kids, right? And so he didn't mean to. He lost it a little bit, and we know that happens, especially with coaches. And so it worked out. So, but it's a good question. So we just have to focus.
Yeah, and just big ups to you too. As far as an official, sometimes you have to understand that there's emotions involved in the game, so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, you're the adult, you know what I mean? And so if you can diffuse the situation without going boom, 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 you're out of here, showing your authority, and then messing with that kid's career, I think that that's just big ups to you. And that goes to what Coach Schmeider was saying about you guys being the best in the state because you know how to handle situations like that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
That is true.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. Coach Schmeider, and then go to the next question for you. So it's a general question, but I'm just curious, especially with your coaching background, years, and knowledge. How do you define success, and what does it take for someone to get there?
Great question. I mean, I really define success. In my earlier days, it was about, getting kids state titles. And we've certainly had many, many youngsters come through our program and win state championships. I'm really, really proud of that. But I think what I'm more proud of is the success that we've had with, kids going on to be in the military, kids going on to be, in the workforce, kids going on to be, coaches and teachers. And as they reflect back on wrestling and what it did for them personally and the work ethic that was taught and some of the discipline that was taught, those are the things that warm my heart and really make me feel like we're a successful program as a whole. So that piece, we've got it all over our room. We put it on the back of our warm-ups, building champions in life. That's our number one goal, is to give these kids some real valuable lessons about how to tackle life ahead of them, So I'm really proud about that. But we all have egos. We wouldn't be coaches if we didn't have egos. So, we want to win section titles. We've won the section the last couple of years, and I want to win another one this year for sure. And I want to crack that top 5 in the state, if not get a state title someday too. But I'll tell you, wrestling is a commitment, and it takes a young man a lot of hours in that wrestling room to get up on the podium at the state tournament. And as you know, unfortunately or fortunately, sports don't just end with their season. These kids have got to be doing things in the off season to help them and manage their other sports as well. We have a lot of kids that play football. And so that off season has to be shared with trying to make better football players, make better wrestlers. So, I feel like it's a commitment to a process. I don't think there's anything real special about what we do, but if the kids believe in what we're doing and commit to it, they can get on the podium. And we've demonstrated that. I think we've had a state champion. I think we've had 7 kids in the state finals in the last 6 years, which there's not too many programs in the state that can say that. So, they just have to trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. Well, go, Coach.
No, I'd say definitely appreciate that. And appreciate your time this morning and just getting on and just, sharing with us all you do, dropping a little wisdom there at the end. We definitely appreciate it because we as coaches, we tell kids, you do got to trust the process. We're here, obviously for the program. And so we're not going to tell you anything wrong that's going to end up hurting us or hurting you. And so, Coach, man, we definitely appreciate it. Troy, we definitely, we appreciate you. So thank you guys
Coach,
so much for joining us this morning.
Well, Coach, if Danny decides to put on a singlet and you guys need a whistle, let me know and I'll officiate between the two of you.
If he put on the singlet, I'm going the other way anyway. You ain't got to worry about that.
Man, I better get a doublet or a triplet or something, man. But anyway, coaches, I'm like Coach Johnson said, I really want to thank you guys for being on. It's been fun. This has really been fun. Coach Schmeider, just look at your 35 years, Coach Johnson, your 18 years. Coach, I kind of call Coach Troy, Coach Lorents too, because he's been coaching in basketball, repping and all this. And that's like 120,000 years between the three of you guys that you put into this community. And so I personally want to thank you guys and just the kids, boys and girls that you've touched, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. And we all in here together and we know that we all have the same goal, like you said, make sure they're good people. And so it's great, man. It's great. Flagstaff is a much better place having you three guys here. So thank you guys. And Coach Johnson?
Coach.
Think it's time to go to yes, what's
it is, but now best of luck in sectionals, best of luck in state. Hey, you go get something for wrestling, we'll try and get something for basketball. Let's bring back some type of state title.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, good luck to you, Coach. Troy, are you doing anything in sectionals? You officiating?
Yep, I have. I'm going to go watch the girls wrestle tomorrow, and then I have the boys sectional in Winslow the following Saturday, and then after that's the state tournament. So we pick different officials for the state tournament. Part of it is, as you know, we're short of refs, so we're really trying to build our bench, and so giving some new people some new opportunities from an officiating perspective. So should be a good state tournament.
Yeah, well, Coach Johnson believes he can do anything. Call him, have him go officiate some wrestling.
All right. Well, now he knows how to call a pin. So
I do. And he keep talking. I'm gonna demonstrate one next time I see him on site. Hey, we got to get out of here, man. We can't keep fooling with y'all. We going all day. We got to get out of here. I appreciate y'all stopping by for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Well, Coach, man, it's been fun this morning, man. I know you got to go to work. I'm gonna go in here and see what's for breakfast. I think I might cook me a little breakfast this morning.
Don't cook yourself breakfast, man. We don't want you in the hospital. You go ahead and leave that to Coach Janie. And look here, man. Just like when we be talking and you be aging me, you ain't gonna give me extra years. I've been coaching 17 years, man, not 18. I'm just gonna make that correction for you.
A year here and there, man. It don't make no difference. You old. Hey. I'm real old and you old.
well, look here. You take your real old self and you go do something with yourself today. I don't know what everybody else got to do. We appreciate y'all joining the show. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe, thumbs up, and then just enjoy your day. So, Coach, I don't know what they got to do out there, but I do know one thing. You ain't got to go home.
But you got to leave here. Peace.